You're listening to the FamVestor Podcast. If you're looking to raise your family with intention, gain financial independence, and live a life of true freedom, you're in the right place. Join us as we explore together how to create thriving families, because strong families are the cornerstone for a world at peace.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the FamVestor Podcast. I'm so excited today because we have Jason and Pili here on the show. Hey, guys, welcome to the show.
So honored to be here. Thank you for having us. Boom.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited. Jason and Pili are such a cool couple. We first met them back when we were doing our North New Jersey meetup. Jason came out to speak. He was a quick substitute, but it was such a great talk he gave. And they're such an inspiring couple. You know, we got to know them a little bit more. They're real estate entrepreneurs. They have 3 kids, live in New Jersey just like us, but they do so much. Like, I think you guys have had like a restaurant, a brewery, you flipped houses, you've lifted houses, you've done Airbnb, now you do multifamily syndications, you're podcasters, and just doing all this crazy cool stuff. Me and Jason ran a marathon together recently, so that was really cool. And then Jason just finished a 100-mile race, so that's incredible. So I just feel like there's so much that you guys do, so much incredible things, just living your lives so intentionally. So I was so excited to have you guys on the show. And you do it all together, which is even cooler. Like, you guys have been posting about the 75 hard thing, which I really want to explore. And I just find it so inspiring to see a couple like you guys, like, really intentionally building your lives together. And again, that key word is together. And just the amount of fulfillment that it seemed to see resonate from you guys. So again, thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, we're psyched. Let's do it. Yeah. Lots happening lately, so we're really excited to see what we have going on tonight. So thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks so much. So I guess to get us started off here, we wanted to ask you, how is your life different from the average person?
Different from the average person.
I guess you can figure on your own take of average, but we wanted to make sure that we're setting our priorities on our timeline. Mm-hmm. We wanted to make sure that it was our focus, and we weren't just doing what is supposedly supposed to be done. And maybe that would be the context of average of what does everybody else do? Everybody else, gets out of school, goes and works at a job that maybe they are not fulfilled with, but they feel like they have to do it because that's what other people do, and you feel like you have to set up this plan for retirement, but you don't really know why. There's no context to it. You're just doing it because that's what you're supposed to do, and then you start a family, but you're too busy for the family. You're not really connecting with your family. You're not focusing on the family. You're not really setting up your steps, and then all of a sudden 10, 20, 30 years go by, and you go, what just happened? What just happened? Like, I remember wanting to do stuff, but I feel like I haven't done anything. And we're not doing that.
We didn't want to do that. We didn't want to be those people. We want to live with intention. We want to make sure we make the choice. We are ultimately responsible for every single choice, everything that we do. And we want to make the correct choices, and we want to make the choices that take us to that next level continuously. And
I guess on the average point, we've stopped really even, like, it's not even so much what other people are doing is what we want to do, right? So I don't even know if we're even focused on that direction of what has happened with other people or where they at or where can they be, because it's more on what do we want in our life, and that's from a family, financial, fitness, faith focus, where
we like alliterations.
Yeah, where
I love it.
It all has grown into a point here where we're doing what we want to do, and like you said, like the 75 hard, 100-mile, or what we're doing with syndication. There's so many reasons that we shouldn't do it. There's so many hurdles that like if we were to listen to other people, we wouldn't do it, because everything is always scary, because it's safer to quote unquote just stay the same, right, and maybe not be happy than it is to ultimately try something new.
And I'm huge on this quote: other people's opinions are none of your business. So it's like I don't even really care what the average person looks like, because I'm not going to be that person. I'm not going to be the person that's too afraid to take the next step and then to take the next step. And for your listeners out there, if you are afraid, if there's something holding you back, then take one step, one actionable step to get yourself to that next level. But just one step. It could be the smallest thing, but you do one small thing and then you do another small thing, and you look 20 years later, instead of being the person that wished he or she did it, you're going to look back and be like, wow, I did that.
Yeah, no one gets to the end of their life and says, man, I wish I did less.
Right.
It just never comes from that capacity. It's always, I wish I took that chance or took that risk. And because we set up so many falls for ourselves that we always think of it on the worst thing that could potentially happen, so I won't do it. Like even like apartments. Well, what if you got it and the building burnt down? It was like that. It's like there's like less than a 1% chance that happens.
Right,
it could
right.
happen, but potentially, like, if that's stopping me from doing anything, that'd be foolish.
Right.
But that's what a lot of people do is create these things that stop them from doing it. We had one of the kids coach. He didn't want to do a step today. Really just building out his business because he was afraid what other people were going to think. And my response was, I appreciate that, but I guarantee you, you're not that important to everybody. And no one's really paying attention because everybody's more focused on themselves than we think they are. Everybody thinks that, well, what is other people going to think? Well, everybody's got too much of a busy life. They don't really even think much. They're too busy doing their own busy stuff.
Right. I love that. I love how you're really charting this course. You're charting your own course. You're not following a set pattern, and you're being so intentional about it, you know, taking the risks and having a mindset where, you know, you're not going to let little mental roadblocks hold you back from the things that you're interested in or passionate about and curious about exploring. Because it's so true. I think that's the biggest block for most people when they really want to get into something. They create this whole list of reasons why they can't do it, and it just holds them back from actually even trying.
All these limited beliefs, or even other people's limited beliefs on themselves.
Right. And I'm really curious to know, this intentionality you had, did you both always have this since growing up? Was this something that came to be at the start of your relationship, or something that you came to realize you wanted to be that way as you grew together as a couple? I'm curious to know when this intentionality came about.
I think kids, so let's take this back. I think all children have intentionality, right? Mm-hmm. So they want a toy, they take it from someone. They don't want to eat their food, they won't eat their food. They don't want to go to bed, they won't go to bed. They want to go to bed, they go to bed. It's intentional what they do. They don't have this point where they're setting up things in our head, but
they don't care what anybody thinks.
Exactly. But we get set up with an attitude based on what other people tell us we should do, and we get quartered in a box. Mm-hmm. And then we start allowing ourselves to just slowly be okay with failing, right? Like as simple as I'm going to get up at 6 a.m. and then 6 a.m. comes and you hit the snooze alarm for another hour. And now you've told yourself, well, it's okay, I failed. And so now every point that just carries through everything for your life. You know, you don't need clean. You don't call someone back in time. You don't get your work done. You don't go after the job you want because it's all okay because you didn't set up those things. And so we just said no more negotiations because we're only negotiating with ourselves. I'm not negotiating against anybody else. And it's great when you have the right partner. And a lot of this, with like 75 hard, which is a big commitment. We're still on to another phase of it, is that if you don't do the actions, you start over. And I don't want to let Pili down.
And I don't want to let Jason down.
And we just want to get back to that point of, okay, I need to show up and do exactly what I say. And most importantly, I need to do what I'm going to say when nobody's looking, because that's really what sets up. And I think there was a quote I was listening to, was that children do what they want, men need to do what they have to. And lots of times we just have allowed ourselves to just say, it's okay. It's okay. I'll get after this tomorrow. I'll do this tomorrow. And then that's decades later. And have we been perfect? No. This is something we've learned, and we fail just like other people, but we've realized when we fail, get back up. And when we fail, take one more step. Like that 100-mile race, if I was to think of it like, oh, we're going to do 100 miles. Well, that would be that's a lot, right? That's a lot to take on. But I would think about, okay, let's run the first 25. And then we get to 25, let's get to 50. We get to 50, okay, let's just get to 55. We get to 55, let's just get to the bridge. We get to the bridge, let's just get to the tree. Then let's run 600 steps. And then, okay, let's meet Pili at the aid station. You know, it's just these points here where we're just setting up ways that we can win again. Okay, I'm going to get up at 4:13 in the morning. I'm out of bed at 4:13 in the morning. No negotiations. So okay, I've won. I say I'm going to read today. Then great, read. Now I won. But we're not setting lofty goals like today we're going to make $1 million because it's not trackable and we're ultimately just going to set ourselves up for failure. Where if we want to raise money, Pili will have an investor call every day. Well, that you can control. So it's creating, I guess, controllable intentions.
It sounds
to go back to go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, it sounds more like you're creating these intentional habits for yourself. Not, like you said, not these lofty goals, but these daily routines, these daily habits that, you're making sure that you have full integrity with, right? You say you're going to do something and you carry it through. And I feel like there's so much power that comes from having integrity with yourself, with your goals, with your alignment. And when you're aligned, that it really charges you, it really fuels you. And you can do these what sounds like impossible things, like running 100 miles to the common person. To me, myself, it sounds like an impossible task.
Right.
But you create these habits, these daily life rituals, and you stick to it. Like you said, no excuses, and that gives you that power to do those impossible things.
I'm curious because you said that this intentionality kind of came about through parenthood.
Right.
Was that something that came about because in learning how to deal with the complexities of raising children, it was like an aha moment? You're like, I want to have a no negotiation lifestyle, or did someone inspire you toward this? I'm curious.
Well, I think to take a step back throughout your life as you're a child, you're into your teens, you basically learn how to like almost put yourself down or put yourself into a box or like limit yourself throughout your, depending on how you're brought up. And then you jump into your 20s, and depending on when you start having a family, once you start being responsible for other lives, and now your life almost becomes not your own if you allow it to be, you have to live with intention. Jason and I figured out that if we don't systematize our lives as much as we can, we're not going to have any time. I grew up being very like kind of free-formish, like kind of have a schedule, but not really. Now it's like I live my life by my calendar because I have to, because it allows me to schedule out the times I have with my kids, how much time I have to work, the important things in my day. The time from when I pick up my kids to when they go to sleep is their time, the time that Jason and I spend together. Everything is scheduled, and within that schedule, there's freedom.
And with Parenthood, you realize really quickly, the kids are always watching, right?
Right.
And you notice it now, and just because it's like, if you want to buy a car, you start seeing that car everywhere. But when you're a parent with children, you notice other parents who are maybe not being the best, most responsible advocate for their children. They're acting out that, and the children just follow suit because we're always some form of our parents, whether we like it or not. And so if we're going to tell our kids it's constantly okay just to give up and constantly okay just to not try, and that's probably why we're starting to fall behind as a country, because it's constantly like the easy thing. Like everybody gets a trophy. Okay, like I got it, but what's that teaching the kids? Well, you don't have to try that hard. You don't have to go the extra step. You don't have to do much because you're still going to get a trophy. So why do it? Or you can't get your shoes on. No worries, I'll help you. Or any of those points. You don't want to eat your dinner. That's fine. And we're now instilling that into our children, and that's why we're probably going to continue on this decline until the curve stops.
And, well, for instance, like the 100-mile race that Jason just ran. So what was it, like 2 or 3 weeks beforehand, we found out that Jason actually needed a crew and that he couldn't do it without it.
Right.
And we asked people if they wanted to come with us, and we couldn't get anybody. So who crewed for him? Myself and our 3 kids.
Gee.
Wow.
I was actually,
and it was
100% true. I was actually fine without the crew, but not fine without Pili. And so the breaker here was but we
made it happen.
Just made it happen. And that's kind of like Parenthood, right? Like, oh, it's like there was that NyQuil commercial where you see the picture of the parent. He's like, little Bobby, I'm just not feeling good today. I just don't know if I can be up for it. And you turn around, there's like a little baby in the crib. It's like where there's like no time. That's like NyQuil comes up. Well, that's like that's parenthood. Like you need to get it done.
Right.
Because the kids aren't just going to figure it out when they're like 1 and 2. You need to get it done and be a responsible parent and make it happen. And that's really like where you go with life too. Like you need to set you up. You need to get it done. It's your role. It's your responsibility. It's your duty to get it done.
And back to the 100-mile race, though, why I brought that up was because I've started to walk home with Luke because I don't like the cold. Mm-hmm. And part of 75 Hard is that you have to have one workout in the cold. So I run to his school and we walk back. And that takes us about an hour. Mm-hmm. Halfway out during our walk back, the second day we did this, Luke starts like complaining. He's 5. Mm-hmm. So of course he's going to complain. It's cold. He's like, Mommy, why didn't you bring the car? And I was like, remember that race that Daddy ran? He's like, yeah, 100 miles. Because I told him he should run 100 miles. I was like, yeah, remember that race? So it's a mile from your school to our house. He's like, okay. I was like, Daddy ran 100 miles. And his eyes just went huge like saucers because he didn't fully understand what Jason was doing. Right. But by showing him like the distance of a mile, and then in his brain, he's like trying to like transpose it into 100 times. Right. Mm-hmm. It was like an aha moment for him. And that's the kind of aha moments that we want to give our kids. Right. That they can walk a mile, 2 miles, 5 miles, a marathon to 100 miles. They can do this.
I was just thinking because I ran a 51-mile race and Luke said, okay, you should do 100 miles. And I said, okay, thanks, Luke. Like right after that. And then, but here we go, right? I get done with the 100-mile literally at 4 a.m. He wakes up at 5 a.m. And so I get no doubt and I just take him to breakfast and and Pili goes, Daddy, you just finished 100 miles. I go, well, you should do 1,000 miles. Oh, wow. So there's never an end, right? There's always the next step, right? So what's next?
And you did really good in this 100-mile race. Right? What was your time?
21 hours and a couple minutes there.
Amazing.
So I think I could have broken sub 20. Just you don't know what you don't know, and sometimes that's like life, right? Like if you know everything or wait to know everything, you'll never do it. And that was it. I had no idea what I was in for. I figured it was done in my mind in what capacity I was done. Mm-hmm. And I figured it was going to be real cold, so I've been training a lot in the cold. It was going to get dark and just like that. That was it. No idea. So there's little things you couldn't prepare for. I constantly had like little weird rocks in my shoes, just like weird things that just happen. And you're like, all right. But if I tried to like prepare for that, like I did one long race and I said, okay, my 2 things I'm not going to do is get my feet wet and I'm going to run up all the hills. And one of the first hills, because it was 8,000 square feet in elevation, was so steep you couldn't run it. And then there was 4 rivers you had to run through. So it was already. So my 2 things for preparation were out the window within like 5 miles. So I was like,
that was the 50 miles.
Yeah. So new rules, no rules. You know.
Yeah. Yep.
Just got to get it done.
How long have you been a runner? Is this something that you've been doing for a long time? And what motivates you to do it?
2007, and I think it came down to you just get older and you stop having friends that want to do anything active because maybe they're busy or whatever. They've changed your course. So you find something and running's been it. And running it's anything and everything. And it allows my mind in a busy world to just run. Mm-hmm. And I get my best ideas and I can do weird things like type emails and talk on the phone while I run and even eat now because of the long runs and why I'm running.
Impressive.
it's just one of I get my best ideas running because it's a moment that I can step my head away from everything.
I definitely can agree with that. And I feel like also just the rhythm and the constant that just pacing yourself and running, just I don't know, somehow brings about my best ideas too. I've never done the emails on the go though. That's impressive. You'll have to, how does that work?
Just don't get hit by a car again.
Don't text and run.
Yeah.
Very cool. So we're talking about all these challenges, and we haven't even gotten to 70. Maybe let's dive into 75 hard. For those that haven't heard about it, I really don't know too much about it. Can you guys explain what it is and maybe how its effect on you? But let's go into the basics of it. What is it?
So the basics of it. This was a challenge set out by Andy Frisella. If anybody out there wants to get it from the man himself, it is actually episode 290 on the MFCEO podcast. Do not listen to his podcast with children around. Okay. It has potty language.
Okay.
I learned
Good
that
warning.
the hard way. Yeah. So check him out. So what it is you have to, so no alcohol. You work out twice a day for 45 minutes each time. One of them has to be outside. It's a must. You have to drink a gallon of water. You have to read 10 pages of a self-help or business, some sort of helpful book. So no rom-coms, no comic books. Mm-hmm. And I'm missing one.
Missing two. So eat clean.
Eat clean, yeah.
There's no pre-diet diet, but eat clean.
But you find a diet.
And take a progress picture.
Yeah.
And so you do that every day for 75 days in a row. Mm-hmm. No down days.
No cheat days, right?
No cheat days.
No cheat days.
If you mess up any part of it, you start over.
And I've actually been kind of side coaching some people. And one woman that I keep on talking with, she keeps on failing because she keeps on forgetting things. Like she just forgot to drink all of her water one day. And the next day she forgot to read the 10 pages. So every time you forget something, you have to go back. Mm-hmm. You have to start again. And this makes you practice mental fortitude, I think. Because she was like, how do you remember everything? I was like, number one, I got an accountability partner that I live with and I love, and I don't want to let him down. And number two, you just have to. You have to practice that mental fortitude. No excuses. Just remember it. That's the only advice I could give her, was you just need to remember it. Figure out what you need to do to get it done.
Well, you have to plan for success, and you need to get the big rocks done early, right? You don't want to be drinking a gallon of water at 11:30 at night before bed. You also don't want to be saving your workouts, for at the end of the day, right? So you have to plan your day for success. Right. And that allows you now where we just, the distractions become less, because you have to get this done, then get this done, then get this done, then get this done, get this done. Okay, is it done? Yes. Okay, move on. And that is a lot of the lessons are built in, not so much on the activities, but just on the creation of of formatting a day so you can succeed.
And then I've gotten to the point where I haven't worked out. For instance, our youngest is 6, so yesterday I didn't do my workouts until 12 o'clock a.m. This is in the morning. I should be sleeping, but I couldn't get it done. I finally got him down. I was like, I'm going to do some yoga. I was half asleep during it, but I got it done.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And you push through. But the thing is, it makes you realize that, okay, so tomorrow I have to schedule it. He's going to be with me again. So I have to make sure either get it done or ask for help. Mm-hmm. Key thing there. Call up Jason. Jason, can you hold on to Leo for just 45 minutes so I can go and take my run? Mm-hmm. You just make it happen. It's so good for life, because it just makes you make it happen.
Right.
I'm curious, I don't know if you guys drank a lot before. I'm talking water here. I drink a ton of water. When I first met Sunmarie, she didn't drink that much water, and I got her a nice Nalgene water bottle to carry around. And she started drinking water, and all of a sudden, a lot of headaches went away. Any experiences there with that? Just talking water here, maybe removal of alcohol. Any health things you saw instantly?
Focus, and the water does do a lot of things and fixes a lot of cures, right? And so if people don't even think about it, the body's made up of so much water, and so when we're just constantly depriving it of water, we don't realize, but a lot of the things when we're not feeling good is predicated on us doing silly things I don't know, for context, like drinking soda or juice or all these other things that we just slam in our body, where we just really need a cup of water.
Right. So what is Andy's reasoning for putting people to this challenge, and why did you pick up the challenge?
Well, he's just big on like self-awareness, because the MF stands for what you think it stands for, the bad word, CEO, and he's all about like giving people the tools that they need to really take charge of their lives.
Just calling people out for just not doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Right.
How to break through all your personal limitations.
Yeah.
Yes.
And here's a way that, any of these things by themselves are not that tasking, and all these things together cannot be tasking, but every day is going to have a different thing that's going to be difficult.
Right.
And from some capacity, right? Like lots of days I work out twice a day anyway, so it wasn't like huge, but you start stacking that, and okay, now you have to figure out like the reading. Like I listen to all podcasts, I haven't read the books, and so things you also find that what you think is going to be most beneficial, it maybe isn't. Like the reading of the books for some reason has been like, just because I like listen to podcasts, but I don't really read books. That's been like
key,
like one of the biggest like things. Like for whatever reason, it allowed my mind to just take a moment and just grasp more.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I feel like it's really focusing you on getting away from those instant gratifiers and really starting to invest in yourself, like, eating clean diet, you're staying away from that fast food, and, just really truly starting to invest in yourself. Because I feel like too often we're all stuck in this instant gratification culture and do
just
the
taking the
easiest
easier
thing,
route.
right?
Yeah, like this sounds like boot camp for life. Even when I read it, I'm like, 10 pages and not a podcast? Why can't I listen to the podcast? But if you think about podcast allows you to be halfway distracted and maybe pick up on some things and zone out on others. If you read a book, you've really got to be 100% focused on what you're doing in the moment you're doing it.
Andy says, like, regarding reading, like, it takes him an hour to read 10 pages because he's not a reader, but it forces you to learn. A book forces you to learn, whereas like a podcast, you can go run, listen to a podcast, do your email, all of the above.
Right.
And the thing is, another word on Andy Frisella, this is not something he just pulled out of his pocket because he thought it was cool. He's been like growing and coming to this sort of like pinnacle for like decades now. This guy he's a ridiculous, amazing business owner. And he's fantastic. I listen to his podcast all the time.
So you guys did complete the 75 days. Can you guys share, and I think you went on to do even more, but can you share within that 75 days frame something special that happened or a interesting story?
Interesting story. That's a good question.
The whole thing was just kind of
it was
amazing.
Yeah, I think.
Why do you say that?
Your mind, you're just on it. Like you're just in it and on it. And like I don't know if like the zone's the right word, but we're just in it and on it. And what was probably the amazing thing was not so much what we were doing, but just the response from so many other people. We just had so much feedback and so much engagement, and a lot of other people have done it and like I tried to do it. I know one is actually doing a really good job, Todd Dexheimer. He's actually almost through it.
Oh, wow.
Most people have not been able to keep up for it. And they realize like, okay, maybe we have to figure out something different. Like maybe we have to figure out a little different way to just improve, because what we're doing is not going to work for everybody. It's not going to work for the next person, but it's just taking these little steps just to be better, right? Like what I do for exercise is not going to work for the next person. What I do for diet is not going to work for the next person. But if we just start taking like a little bit each day, then that's where it comes. And just seeing the energy from people just who want to be better, who just say, you know what, I started running because we saw you guys running so much, or I started doing this because I saw you do this so much, because today's the day I need to change. Because just as we spoke earlier, if there's a reason to postpone, you're going to postpone, right? And then all of a sudden now you're 50 or 60, you're dead. And that's generally how life goes for so many people. And to see people just say, enough's enough, I'm going to get out there and change something for the better right now.
And that's how we did it. Like Jason actually introduced me to the 50 triathlons in 50 days.
Yes, the Iron Cowboy.
Yes, Iron
James
Cowboy.
Lawrence did 50 Ironmans in 50 days in 50 states.
What?
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And
ridiculous story.
I was just listening to that, and it was just everything was encouraging about it, and that's what spawned this to happen with Andy to say. And I want to create a commitment that everybody else can do. And of course, like that is not a commitment that everybody can just go out and do.
Right.
So he used what he's done in the past to put out this challenge to everyone. Because it was basically the episode before, 289 was James Lawrence talking about this feat. But what you find, and maybe this is one of the things, is that James Lawrence, actually, you get stronger the more you do it, right? Because generally we find like we're going to wither down. But he had, on his last 3 days, after literally 14, 18 hours of consistent working out daily, like a grueling pace, he was his strongest at the end. His body had grown to the point where it was now keeping the mind together. That was the hard point. And that's what we realized, even doing the 100 mile, was that everybody says is the first 50s a run and the last 50 is a mind game. And that's everything. Because if your mind says you're going to stop, you're going to stop, whether your legs can keep going or not. And that's pretty much everything that happens for most life.
That's so cool. I love hearing about all this, like living life on purpose in the present moment, and just really just building up that mental fortitude.
Right. Oh, I had somewhere I wanted to take this from what you were just saying.
Okay, so let's take a little break here. I really kind of want to explore, because I don't know, you guys sound like superhumans right now. So I want to like go more in like the backstory of like, I don't know, just like where you guys started.
Maybe we fail more than everybody.
Yeah.
But it's just that we're not going to be.
Let it set
what would
you
be the word?
back.
We're not going to be represented by our failures. We're not going to let that us be us.
But you want to get real a little bit, so we jumped into phase 1. So 75 hard was hard. I know we make it sound like it was like this greatest thing ever, and it is, but it was hard to do because we had to take on the idea of no excuses. Even starting it, we were like, okay, so we have this we have to do, and we have this we have to do. Okay, why don't we do it in 2 weeks after we do this, then the other thing? And then finally Jason and I just looked at each other. We're like, we're starting tomorrow.
Let's go.
Because
there'll always be something else that's going to come up.
Exactly.
Right?
Always. So we did the 75 hard, and throughout there was like dips and valleys, and there was times that we wanted to like kind of, I don't think we ever wanted to quit.
No, we weren't.
But it got hard.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, once we jumped into phase 1, we were doing it.
Right.
But I don't feel like we were, because we stopped. When Jason did the 100-mile run, the day before we talked about it, and we're like, I don't know how we're going to be able to plan you with the kids and me running and doing all of the things that we have to do for 75 hard. Plus phase 1, you have to do 3 critical tasks, take a 5-minute cold shower, and do 10 minutes of visualization. So the shower, I could probably handle that with the kids, and the visualization, yeah. But the 3 critical tasks that we had chosen for ourselves separately, those are items that I couldn't do managing the kids. I just couldn't figure out how to do it. I was going to make it happen, but Jason and I looked at each other. We're just like, you know what? I don't feel like we're doing this part of the challenge with intention.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it felt like
we were
didn't
trying
have
to
our
make
whole
it
heart.
work, and it wasn't fitting around.
No.
So the day we took the day off, so I ran a 100-mile. We took the next day off, and then we started again, and just started over for the 30 days. And so that was a humbling point because it was the first time we failed on it, but it was just that we just had to be honest with ourselves and just say, we're not doing this to its fullest potential. And if we're not going to do it to its fullest potential, we shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, so we should stop now.
Yeah.
And restart.
Although I did take a cold shower right before the race, which was with cold shower into 21-degree running weather was a super choice.
Wow.
How has that been for the last, you said 30 days of 5-minute cold showers? How has
we had
that
actually
been?
done I think we were on day 20 then. And now we're starting over, and we're on what day are we on now?
We are on
day
11,
10.
This is 10.
It's actually
right, because if you stop or miss anything part way, you have to start that phase back over again.
But if you finish 75 hard, you get those 75 days. You start phase 1. If you fail during phase 1, you just have to go back to the start of phase 1.
And
Do you continue what you were doing in 75, the first 75
so it's
days?
on top of that is everything else.
So you add 3 new challenges to what you were already challenging yourself to.
So it makes it, and that, like, for whatever reason, like, made it exponentially more involved. And it very interesting. Just like, and it seemed like 3 simple things, but it made it that much more involved. And the cold showers are actually, they're like another level right there where you're awake and you're even more focused. But you just have to do it. You know, like there's no rhyme or reason around it. You just get it done.
So I've been following you doing this 75 hard, and I saw the first list of things. I was like, man, that's hard. But I could force myself to do it. And then when I saw you post phase 1 and I'm like, cold showers, I'm like, nah.
I've been doing cold showers for the last year and a half. And the only time I don't do it is whenever Sunmi and I take a shower together, and she's like, no cold shower.
He's been asking me for months. He's like, why don't you also take on this cold shower challenge? You know, maybe you should challenge yourself. I'm like,
well, it's funny that 2 things happen. Well, the hot shower actually feels like too hot. So I don't even like do it now. And then it's, if you run outside in the freezing cold and are freezing, when you come back, a cold shower actually feels hot.
Oh,
because you're so cold.
So it doesn't count. So you need to make it colder.
You gotta make an ice shower.
Warm.
Yeah. It is. I can't feel my hands, so my hands are tingling. So
how many phases are there?
There's actually 3 phases. So
3
there's
phases.
75 hard, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. Phase 2 is basically you do 75 hard again for 30 days. But you have to take a 30-day break between phase 1 and phase 2.
With the intention to make sure that this is not like supposed to be some fad diet where like you do keto and all of a sudden you stop and like whatever, you go back. This is saying, okay, you're setting yourself up for success in your life with intention. Now you need to carry over this life. And without the challenge, can you now start to carry it over with your life?
So in those 30
that's
days.
That's the purpose of it, is to make sure you're installing the principles in your life.
That's almost like another challenge, that 30 days where you have a break. So like Jason and I, we left our party animal days, if we were ever party animals, back in before in the 20s, in our 20s. So it wasn't like difficult. But this is the first time Jason's been without alcohol since probably he started drinking alcohol.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just like it's been a great challenge.
Do you guys miss that, the alcohol?
No, I didn't really start after our last baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's many things you don't need, but you know, it's like any little habit you have that is not really important. Like once you stop the habit, it didn't need to be there, so you don't miss it, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
So phase 2 is 75 hard again, just to see if you can do it again. And then there's phase 3, which he actually hasn't released yet. So I'm excited.
You guys are in the forefront.
I heard if you fail in phase 3, you have to go all the way back to 75 hard. That's the only thing I've heard.
Don't fail. It's the challenge not to fail. So one thing I felt inspired by that you just shared is that through doing this journey, it's been a lot of growth for yourself through self-realization of what you really are capable of doing. But what I was struck by is how you said it was impacting the lives of others around you, the people in your life that were witnessing you doing this, you know, with social media and just talking to your friends and whatnot, and getting uplifted and inspired, some even to the point of taking up the challenge themselves. And I think that that's such a profound testament to how when one person allows themselves to go above and beyond and to not say no and to not limit themselves, it frees others around them to also do the same in their life. And what a powerful example you can be, you know, just the idea that what you do isn't directly only influencing yourself, whether you're doing good things or you're doing bad things, it is impacting the people in your life around you. And we're all connected in that way. And how you could have a positive influence on all the people in your community and your reaches just through being and doing and setting an example. And I find that really inspiring.
Yeah, I was reading a quote yesterday and it goes, "A candle loses none of its light by lighting another." And I feel like that's kind of like what it is.
everybody's their own brand today, and whether you like it or not, you are, because we all have a social media presence. And it's whether you have one follower or you're my grandma, or you have 1 million followers. Like, someone's watching, and someone's watching how you put yourself out there and how you're doing it, and with a way that there's so much, I guess, potential outlets for people to be angry. There's 1 million other people who want to find some reason that they can have a moment to be happy or do better or find better.
Right. Yeah, imagine if you're like scrolling through Facebook and your entire feed is politics and
just forms of negativity or anger.
Negativity, and I want to be that person in your news feed that's like, here, look at this cool thing that you can do. Look at this healthy stuff you can do. Here's a bit of positivity. Here's an affirmation that I told myself this morning. Because there's enough negativity out there. There really is. You don't need to feed that. Right. Feed the positive side of this world. There's so much good out there. Be part of that good. There's no need to feed the negative machine. Right.
Now, this is a huge challenge in your personal life, and I could see it very easily eating into your time with your family, like maybe absentmindedly or feeling like hectic about, I didn't do my 45-minute workout, and so you feel a little bit rushed when you're with your kids. How are you feeling the impact with your kids, or has it allowed you to really make your time with your kids even more intentional?
It shows them a pattern, and I also think it's actually the opposite, right? Because how much time in our day do we actually, I guess I always say, everybody knows The Rock and everybody knows Oprah, and they're doing 17 trillion things in the same day. Like right now, The Rock's filming a movie in Thailand while he's drinking tequila in Amsterdam, while he's in California working out all at the same time. It's like at that point they're doing so much because they've now, this is what I do, this is how I get it done. And it shows that same thing to your kids, that we just you have so much time we waste on the days that you get rid of the waste of time because there's no time for it. So we're not watching Netflix, we're not out there messing around, we're not doing things that we're not spending the whole day on Facebook, we're not I don't know, spending even more time than we have to just at random things like I don't know, lunch or something, to the point it's here's what we do for the 75 hours, here's what we do for working out, here's what we do for the kids, here's what we do for the work, and then here's what we do for the rest of the day, and then okay, let's go.
And you know what, our kids loved it, because especially when the weather was nicer, I just throw them in the stroller. There was one, when was it? Jason went and was taking a look at some of our properties in Kentucky. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this with the 3 kids during the weekend. How am I going to do 2 workouts? But I was like, you know what? I'm going to get it done. Both days I had the 1-year-old in the little papoose thing in the front.
The carrier.
And then, and then I had the older 2 in the double stroller, and I walked to the park, let them run around, and then walked our little tushes back. It's so funny. I got stopped by so many, especially women. Had to have been stopped by 5 or 6 women. They're just like, wow, you're Wonder Woman. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm just getting it done. Just get it done.
Right.
And you figure out a way, and the kids loved it. Because they got to go to the park. They got to hang out with mommy. And, with 3 kids, you can't look at your phone. Right. Running around a park when you have a 1-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 5-year-old in the park. Yeah. Put your phone away. Yeah. And you're totally focused in. And they love how our focus has just kind of solidified on them through this.
That's a lot of it, is that, okay, when I'm at work, I'm at work. When I'm with Pili, we're with Pili. When I'm with kids, with the kids. And so it's not,
goes back to the calendar.
When I'm with Pili, we're trying to talk to the kids, but I'm on my phone, and then we're watching SportsCenter. And that's a lot of what happens now in life, is everybody's too busy to actually get anything done because they're too busy doing everything at the same time. So they're everywhere, nowhere at the same time.
And I feel like that's what I love about what you were saying about the schedule, bringing freedom, because it actually allows you not to bleed. You have that intentional slot of time, and you're going to use it for what you told yourself you were going to use it for. And you're not going to let it bleed into other things. So that's awesome.
Right. Yeah, because if I'm trying to work and I have the kids with me, that's not gonna. It doesn't work that way. So, for instance, like I said, our youngest is sick. I haven't been able to work all day because I'm totally focused on him, getting him well. And that's not going to work if I'm like on my computer doing stuff and he's trying to get a hold of me or like tug on my pants trying to get me to like pay attention to him and he's coughing all over the place. That's not going to work. So I make sure that Jason knows I have Leo. I will take care of him. You take care of this.
Right. And
I will get to all the other stuff. It's interesting how the things you think are important become less so. Like if you just let them go, the important things will, usually slap you in the face. But most of the things that come in your inbox, totally unimportant.
Right.
Yeah, I was reading, was it that Ryan Holiday? Yeah, Stillness is the Key, where Napoleon would get mail, but he would insist that no one opens his mail for 3 days. Because whether it was good news or bad news, that he would find by the time he opens it, 95% of the things had worked himself out, and he wouldn't have to involve himself. Because at that point, they were just these points that were urgent but not important, right? And then you have the urgent and not important. And most times in our life, we're running because you have to get it done. But it's really, if you didn't get it done, what's going to happen? Nothing really. But because it's urgent, you have to get it done.
I think it'd be called the Eisenhower block, or the 4 phases: urgent but not urgent, urgent but not timely. I can't remember.
Urgent
exactly.
and important is what you need to tackle. Urgent and important.
It's like when I emailed Jason about giving me his bio and headshot for this podcast, and he completely ignored me.
Oh, did I?
But we're still doing it.
That was probably me because I haven't checked my email for the past 2 days. Because
it's probably a big guess of we like you to be more uninformed on the show so we can create new ideas.
I think we're doing a pretty good job so far. I'm thoroughly entertained, but I'd love to move. I don't know, Sunmi, you go ahead.
Well, I wanted to add to this point here.
Go ahead.
Because it is a point of passion for me. I really like how you bring that up. I think in today's modern society with the cyber technology that we have, our lives have been inundated with so much information and so much demand. We live in a real-time scenario for everything, not the things that are important, but just everything, with texting and messaging and Facebook and emails and then work-related stuff. Some stuff is truly needing to be dealt with, but 95% of it isn't. And I think a week or two ago, we did a little experiment and we said, let's put our phones away for the rest of the day. And I think we went like 6 hours without our phones. Son could put them on the side. But mine was not on silent, so I kept hearing it ding in the background. And I was happy to have this commitment we made that we're not checking it until right before we go to bed. And so I really could live in the moment with our kids. We were both home with our kids, and I just felt this harmony and peace come about in that time because I truly was focused on the puzzle we were making with our children and the time we were spending as a family just together. And there was just this inner peace that came through that. And then, of course, evening time came. We put the kids to bed. We were getting ready to go to bed ourselves, and I was white-knuckling to go check my phone because I heard all these dings and I couldn't wait to go see what it was. And I was like, yes, finally I can go look. And I looked, and I was actually really disappointed. I was like, wow, there is nothing important here, and it just made me realize, like, majority of these things I probably would have been texting back and responding to and conversing with all day long and been only halfway there for my kids and my family, and just kind of divvying up the time and not truly experiencing the moment to the fullest when I could have been. So you bring up that point, and I just really love that awareness that comes about.
That's absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
Mm-hmm.
You wanted to take this somewhere.
Oh, I'm completely forgetting where. Oh, okay. So I guess, we've shared a lot about these cool, really life habits, these mindsets, these, constant growth, constant development. But, from a practical sense, you got to put food on the table. You can't be working out all day long. What do you guys do? How is that maybe transformed? Like, what has been, I know you guys are very entrepreneurial. What has been your journey in entrepreneurial, and where are you at now kind of making a living, putting food on the table for your 3 kids?
We do multifamily syndication, and it just really jives with our mission. So our goal is to create really generational wealth for our family and do the same for everyone around us and many people around us. And it helps us that we buy large apartment communities that help us on our track to that legacy and to that generational wealth. And we do this partnering with our friends and family and allow them to partake in awesome deals so we all can benefit from the economies of scale. But past that, we're able to offer so many jobs to people now because we're creating a better environment where people can work at, and then we're creating better communities for people to live in. So just follows on our mission. And we've done this now for the last 3.5 years where we buy apartment buildings out of state and we help them perform better, whether it be through, the management or the efficiencies or any of the parts or processes or improve the building. And we capitalize on that, and then help other tenants have just a great place that they can call home.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So are you both working from home full time? Do you have office space that you spend hours in? Do you divvy it with other endeavors and projects that you've got going on?
Yes and yes. So Pili we have the office. I go to the office every day. Pili is between here at the office. When we're sick kids, she'll be at home. And for that, we each have different roles and responsibilities. Pili helps on investor relations and does that capacity, helps on that side of the process. I do more on the functionality asset management side of the process. And our focus now is to go into larger properties. We have a family construction business. We still are part of the family construction business. It's heavy construction for which we carry suit. And that's given us a lot of life lessons on how we want to find ways to just be able to scale without our hands being involved, because using or doing the work yourself, you realize very quickly, or you don't, that you're very limited on what you can get done if you're trying to do everything yourself. And so to be able to scale, use teams, and grow effectively, we've been able to find our outlet through flipping, through wholesaling, through everything. Find our outlet where we could put this thought into process, where all the other ones we were still now just being busy or creating more jobs for ourselves.
Yeah, we've tried it all in real estate. We've tried it all or thought of it, because you get into something and you see all the shiny objects and you want to do wholesaling and flipping and do everything. And back in 2014, we got pregnant with our first child, and we didn't want to go back. Well, I didn't want to go back to the restaurant business. So we had the discussion of getting into real estate. So I got my real estate license and we jumped into flipping, and we were doing excellent. I mean, we scaled, and we were doing flipping on a large scale construction type flipping, because we would take homes, lift them, and add square footage to them.
Wow.
And that just was not scalable. Because it was so dependent on our construction company and so dependent on us being there to we couldn't leverage enough people to really
step out of it,
take it to the next level and step out of it. So we started wholesaling. That was amazing. But through this all, we found large multifamily.
Can you briefly explain large multifamily for those of our listeners who don't know it?
Sure. So we focus on 100 plus units of apartment units, buildings that are BC assets that are built anywhere between 1975 and 2005, that generally are owned by owners for a long time who have maybe got a little lackadaisical in their approach or don't have systems and processes.
Or mom and pops.
And we go in there and clean them up, make them better places to live by just putting in processes. So maybe the tenant base needs to improve or have better structure, or improving the utility structure, or raising the rents, or creating a just better overall landscape by changing the branding and just making a business that performs better. Because generally we're buying mismanaged businesses on that scale, and we're making them now operate better as a business. And when you do that, you're selling it off your bottom line. So we resell the businesses based on performing and increasing the income, and then people pay for a multiple of the income at a different level.
And that's the biggest difference between large multifamily and, let's say, your smaller multifamilies or flipping and wholesaling. We are buying businesses. Like there are businesses we're creating, businesses we're helping people's lives on a larger scale.
And you guys said you kind of ran the gamut with everything regarding real estate. Why has this been the one thing that you really feel like is the thing that you want to focus on?
Well, it takes us out of being active. And even though we're active to capacity of running the deals and the other points of it, but we're not to the point where we're getting in the way because we think we could do anything better than everybody else or quicker than everybody else or whatever those things we think in our minds. So it forces us to put the right processes in place so everyone around us and ourselves can benefit.
Awesome.
I feel like that's a learned skill for sure. You know, a lot of times entrepreneurs are very passionate about what they're getting into, but it's really hard for them to kind of step back and allow others to run the work for them. It's a really hard skill to learn. So clearly you've learned that. How did you come to that point? Has it always come easy to you, or was it a learning curve?
we, even from the restaurant, business is like, we at one point we had like I was frying pan 250 people working there.
Yeah.
And I was general manager of the place, and we had like, you'd have like 20,000 people come through on a Saturday. And there'd be points where like you would have like, one of the workstations go down and you jump in and do it. But then now, there's 16 other problems that happen with 20,000 people in a day. And you find that it's not your highest and best use. And it allows you to find other people and their strengths and allow them to do their good job. Because if you're doing something, you're taking a job away from somebody else who could probably do it better than you. And even if they can't do it better than you, they can do 80% of it, but you can get all 16 tasks done at 80% compared to you getting one task or two tasks done at 100. Well, that's a much better solution than you sitting there pounding away, be like, well, I got one thing done, but the other 15 things fell off the cliff.
Right.
And large multifamily has forced us to leverage and build incredible teams, because that's the only way you can succeed in this business, is to depend on the people that you hire and the people that you partner up with.
And how many units do you guys currently manage or have acquired since starting?
Over 700 now. Yeah. And going up soon. We got a 58 unit under contract, so should close before the holidays.
Wow.
It depends on the lender. If the lender wants to go on holiday or other, then that will go after the new year. But growing it and being aggressively patient, right? So patiently finding good properties, and then when they're there, getting them and getting it done.
Awesome. Wow. So, we've been talking about a lot of things, all about kind of living your best life, but I'm curious what you have to say in regards to, when you meet a young couple who's just starting out, maybe just got married, what kind of advice would you kind of give to them in, I don't know. Yeah.
Communicate.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing.
The thing is, like, Jason and I, we kind of cheated because we met each other back in 2003. We've worked together since then, so we don't know how not to work together. Anytime we have, I don't even know if we've ever had a disagreement since our early 20s.
Nice.
Yeah.
But it's always communication.
Well, I'll take it back to real estate, right? So I had a guy the other day being like, so I'm doing so great in the real estate, and I got all these properties and got all this cash flow, and it's creating this point where we're able to do more things and get ourselves out of this. My wife I just can't get her on board. And he's just doing and it's just so great and everything else. I'm trying to tell her how great it is. And I just had that thought. I was like, well, you're coming from the point that everything's about you. Have you asked her what she wants? Maybe she just wants you home more. Maybe it's not great to her for whatever reason, because he's like, I haven't asked her. Because right now, maybe she doesn't realize how great it is because you're not asking her what she wants out of her, what it is, because you're too busy thinking it's great.
Right.
But maybe you're working 7 days a week, 25 hours a day, thinking you're super awesome, but you're not home with the kids, or you're not being engaged because you're constantly on your phone.
Right.
Where rather, she would prefer, well, man, like, I wish we weren't doing this well, so you would be back to, just kind of being with us or something. But you don't understand because you haven't asked the question.
That's awesome. So you guys met in 2003. That's like 16 years ago. It's awesome to see a harmonious couple. I feel like there's so much power that comes if you can really, invest in that relationship, have that good communication. It opens the door to do so much more. But if there's that constant infighting or something, that's so draining, and it kind of consumes your life, and it's not life-giving anymore, that relationship. It's just taking away. But when you can establish that harmony, which, it's clear we can see in you guys just sharing your story and the light that just comes from each of you, no, that's really cool.
You're both on the same path there.
Right.
And I think that brings up a really key point is when you're in a partnership, when you're in a marriage, you can't go at something individualistically and expect to succeed at it, because it will take a toll in other areas of your life. In order to have success, it is something you have to be united on, right? So I see that in your example, and I think the story you just shared is a prime example too, where it's more important to look for creating that unity and communication before you go build up something without regard of another partner.
So how'd you guys meet in 2003?
At a bar. Not working at a bar.
So working at a bar. I was managing a bar, and Jason was brought in to do some construction, and the bartender that had brought him in to do construction was like, "Oh, Jason bartends too." I was like, "Okay, whatever. I'll believe it when I see it." Because I only hired bartenders that were better than me. Got Jason behind the bar. I'm just like, "Yeah, you can bartend, and you're cute, so I'll keep you."
So you mentioned you were working together, and then how long after that did you get married?
12 years.
Yeah, 12 years.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of practice of communicating and working together.
We worked together.
But you learn, 2003 and 2015 are just two different worlds, and 2016 are just two different worlds of who you are and what you've learned. And so we weren't ready at the time. And we both found, we had to go through different life experiences and have different relationships just to, sometimes you need to learn what you don't want to find what you want.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a longer story.
I'm sure we haven't even jumped into it, but everyone's origin story is always a fun and unique one.
Well, the funny thing is that I ended up moving to California, and Jason ended up taking over the bar, and he took this bar, like I took it to a level, but then when I got back in 2009, like it had changed so much, and so much for the better. Like it was just fantastic what Jason had done with the bar. And it just clued me into like, now that we're in business together, I know we can grow things together, because we've done it before. We've done it in the past. Now we're doing it together.
Mm-hmm.
I think one tip I'll give is that, like, if you're building a team, the thing that I found was super helpful is everybody goes, like, the safe thing is like, we should do this. And they always say that. And I started getting to the responses, that's super great. I'm not doing it. So if you want to do it, you can go try it, and you can bring it and you can do it. And if it works, we'll do it all together. I support you to do it. But there is no we should do this, because that means nobody's going to do it.
Interesting.
And when that
take ownership over it, right?
Yeah, I was going to say that it comes down to taking responsibility.
Yeah.
Take responsibility, take ownership for your decisions.
Right.
Awesome. Well, Jason, Pili, it's been so awesome hearing your story. I'm inspired. What do you hope people get inspired about when they kind of hear your story, the journey you've been on recently, and just the growth and awesome things you've created?
If there's something in their lives that they want to do, but they're afraid to take that first step, take that first step. Take a deep breath and figure out what actionable step you need to take to reach that goal. And do the smallest one if that's what you can do. Or tackle the biggest one. But tackle one of those actionable steps, and I promise you keep on walking, you keep on taking those steps, you'll get there.
I love it.
Is it the George Eliot quote? It's the quote I like that's basically, it's never too late for you to live the life you're supposed to live. And
Awesome.
that's it. So there's always a reason that you think you're too late, but no. There's not.
And the great thing about the present is that it always comes back. You can always be present.
Right.
That's awesome. if people, love your story, want to learn more about you, you have a podcast, how can people get in contact with you?
So you can go to Urusi Holdings. You can find out about us, what we're doing, how we're buying apartment buildings. If you want to talk about all other points for apartment buildings, or find our podcast, Multifamily Foundation, go there, give a listen.
Or you can email us at pili@urusiholdings.com or jason@urusiholdings.com.
Awesome. Yeah, I was listening to your podcast today, actually. You guys are putting out 2 episodes a day, which is incredible amongst everything else you're doing. And some great content there. I really was enjoying it. All the little, because they're shorter episodes, but really just jam-packed full of actionable content. So definitely recommend highly to check out Jason and Pili. Just thanks again for coming onto the show.
Yeah, it was great having you.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good night, guys.
Bye.